I'm one of our IRA specialists here at Quest Trust Company. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the contribution limits for the self-directed IRAs that we offer. Of course, before I go into anything, Quest Trust Company doesn't give any tax, legal, structuring, or investment advice. All of the education that you see here today is strictly just for educational purposes only. If you do need some sort of additional help, please seek a CPA or some sort of tax advisor or legal counsel. Alrighty, so the types of plans that we have here at Quest, and I know that we've touched on these before, but just to recap, are the traditional and the Roth under the personal plan category, the SEP, the Simple, and the Solo 401k under the employer plan category, and then the Coverdell ESA and the HSA Health Savings Account in the special plan category. All of these 7 types of accounts can be self-directed, but they each have very different contribution limits. And I'm going to go into those a little bit further right now. So the first account is the traditional IRA. So with the traditional IRA, you're allowed to personally contribute up to $5,500 a year or an extra $1,000 catch-up if you're over the age of 50. Come 2019, that's going to change a little bit, and it's going to go up an extra $500. Making it $6,000 or $7,000 if you're over the age of 50. Again, this is the most common type of account that you're going to see, but contributions can no longer be made once you reach 70 and a half. The reason why is because that's when you're required to start taking your distributions. So you can still get an account open and move funds over, say from another IRA somewhere. It's just you cannot personally contribute to the account if you're over the age of 70 and a half. So the Roth IRA, like the traditional IRA, you're gonna have the same limitations. So again, $5,500 or an extra $1,000 if you're over the age of 50. And in 2019, you'll also get that extra $500. With the Roth IRA, one thing that I like to mention since we're on the topic of contributions, the Roth IRA does have a 5-year clock. So this 5-year clock means that if you've had the account open for 5 years and you're over the age of 59 and a half, you can take the distributions completely tax-free. But that 5-year clock kicks in once you start that first contribution. So if you open up a Roth IRA and you don't do anything with it and it's just sitting there with a zero balance, that doesn't start your 5-year clock. So it's really important to make that contribution to the Roth so you can get that going. Alrighty, so the Simple IRA is a really great employer plan because it does have a higher contribution limit than a traditional. This is a really good account to have if you have some sort of like small business and have around, under 100 employees. That's pretty much a good range for the Simple IRA. With this account, you're allowed $12,500 or an extra $3,000 for the catch-up if it's allowed by the plan holder. So the second account is the Solo 401k. And this is also a really great account because it too allows for much higher contribution limits. You're allowed to contribute as the employer, yourself, and as the employee, yourself. So you can contribute up to $18,500 for 2018, not to exceed $55,000. The third employer plan is the SEP IRA. So the SEP IRA is probably the most common type of employer plan that we see here at Quest because it really depends on what you pay yourself. So for example, if you pay yourself $100,000, you're allowed up to 25% of what you pay yourself. So you could contribute $25,000. As long as that contribution doesn't exceed $55,000, you're good to go. And with that account, you can make those contributions up until tax filing deadline, but you also get extensions. The first specialty plan that I like to talk about is the Health Savings Account. And the contribution limits for this account are different based on what type of plan that you have. If you have coverage just for yourself, you're limited to $3,450 a year. But if your plan covers your whole family, you're allowed $6,850. These change pretty often. Even in this year, it was 6,900 and they dropped it down a little bit. So this is one of those accounts that the contribution limits are always changing, and it's really important to stay up to date so that you know how much you can contribute. That way you don't either over contribute or you contribute all that you want to as well. With the HSA, you can always go back and pay yourself back for any medical expenses that you incur as long as you've had the HSA open. So just keep that in mind. Even if you open the account today, you put in your contribution, and then you break your arm, well, you don't have enough yet to pay yourself back for that, but you can continue to grow the account, and eventually you'll have enough, and you can go and pay yourself back for that medical expense since you had the HSA open. So it is important to be aware of those contribution limits as well, because they can come in handy when you go to take your distributions for a medical expense. Alrighty, and the last account is the Coverdell Education Savings Account. And this is a smaller account. You are limited to $2,000 per child per year, but with the use of creative strategies that the Propelio Academy has been teaching you, and just from what you know from your real estate investing knowledge, there are ways to grow these small accounts and make them quite large. Things like being a private lender, or options, or even wholesaling, if you've grown the account a little bit, can be some really good ways to see that small amount grow really, really big. And then again, once you take those out for a qualified educational expense, it is tax-free. So this account is for children. Once they turn 30, you do have to disperse it, but if you don't want to just take it all out and say, okay, well, that account's done with, you can actually pass it down to another child. So this is a really good way to pass along wealth, once your child turns to be the age where they can't use it anymore. So those are the 7 types of accounts that we have and the different contribution limits for each. If you have more questions about it, you can always give Quest a call. We're the premier self-directed IRA custodian. We love to teach you about education. Alrighty, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.